resonance, since resonance has been an issue for me for many, many years to reflect about human behavior, human relations. And let me start with the remark that we tend to, if we wish each other well for a specific occasion, we tend to wish something like, take care of yourself, think about yourself, care for yourself. And I got the point. I mean, there are even plenty of books published, thousands of books all over the world, recommending that someone might take care of oneself. And I got the point. I even have received many wishes of that kind over the years, and I gave many of those wishes. I might continue to do so. But today I want to emphasize something else. It's about caring for one another. I think this is also part of human nature, of how we are and how we behave. I think in all history, no matter in what part of the world, no matter in what kind of community, the ideal has always been to contribute to the wealth of the others, of a community, of a society. Because we are very much dependent on each other, aren't we? We are very essentially dependent of each other. And this is why caring for one another seems to me so important. Resonance is the overall meta issue of this talk today. And I've looked into the dictionary what the language of music, the Italian language, would say about it, about the word of risonare or risuonare. And the dictionary says it's about a vibration responding to another vibration. And this seems to me so important in human relations. So the question is how to start that endeavor, how to start that kind of outreach to the others, to the one other person, to the individual, and to a community, to society generally. And there is a quote, a sentence that meant a lot to me already when I was a child. It fascinated me when I was a child. And this sentence goes like, it's kind of a command. The sentence goes like, continue transmitting universal peace and hello in all known languages. Maybe that resounds with the one or the other. It's a quote from a pop culture thing of my childhood times. A quote from Star Wars, Star Trek actually, where the captain of the Starship Enterprise commanded going to a new sphere, continue transmitting universal. So this pop cultural thing of my childhood times would have been the command, going to new spheres, continue transmitting universal peace and hello in all known languages. Or in other versions, it's continue transmitting peace, hello on all frequencies. And this is even more than languages. It's even more since it's about human behavior, not only words, but how we treat each other, how we do each other well. And this is a starting point for the outreach to the other. But what kind of resonance is it? What kinds of vibration in response to another vibration is it that really respects the dignity of the other? What I'm advocating for is not intruding the sphere of another. It's respecting the boundaries of the other person, rather. What I'm advocating for is actually providing space for the other, space for reflection, a safe space to share thoughts, to share feelings even. And feelings can be hurt, as we all know. They can be hurt in a hidden way or in a very transparent way. You might know the sickness of butterfly skin. And I don't want to underestimate the pain of children and adults, of humans with that sickness, physical pain. But I think there's also something of like butterfly skin in human relation, in human behavior, in human communication. So while outreaching in that style of universal peace and hello in all known languages, we also have to observe the shape of the other person. We have to observe, is the other person in this very given moment in the shape of a butterfly skin? Or maybe in the shape of an elephant skin, which is another saying. We call it elephant skin when somebody is resistant against a lot of attacks, can't be easily hurt, at least it seems so. So to observe this not only for the other person, but to observe this also for oneself seems to be of utmost importance to me in order to have a proper outreach, in order to have a proper vibration responding to another vibration. And on this path there are many traps, no doubt. If somebody would think, okay, I will use this as a kind of instrument, let's say for business, I will only provide this kind of space for reflection for the wealthy. I think caring for one another has a lot of precious things that might come back. To pay attention, that's also the title of my talk. To pay attention adequately includes the word of to pay. And usually we use that word for money and we expect something in return for that money. But we also use that word, for example, for paying a visit, physically being present if somebody needs us, physically being present to stand by somebody literally in a difficult situation, maybe also to share joy in a joyful situation. And all of this also will pay something back in return, but maybe not that concretely as it is with money, but there are precious things in return. And you will miss out some precious things if you will only provide that space for the wealthy. You will miss out some precious things if only going to the centers would be your approach. Also go to the peripheries. Also only seeking for the extraordinary will lead to missing some precious things because they are very often also in the ordinary. Of course, curiosity is a good drive for going forward with this outreach. Curiosity, remaining curious, being curious, but not only on the wealthy, on the centers, on the extraordinary, but also on the less wealthy, the peripheries, the ordinary, and also to seek out what can interest me, what can interest you. For example, if we want to talk after this talk, continue our peace and hello in all languages, I share with you the thought about the lipstick and the bullet, and I will not share more about that, but I will share with you the story about the lipstick and the bullet if we have time later on. People seek for attention. It's on us to seek out what kind of attention it would be. And people are willing to do a lot for attention. And this is part of human behavior, since attention is a kind of a currency in how we deal with each other. Attention is a way to value the other person, to underline the dignity of the other person. And I give you two examples for that. A composer and pianist in my home country, Austria, Friedrich Gulda, he even faked his own death. He made a press release about himself passing away. And what did he receive? Many newspaper articles. It was the end of the last century, before the social media times. Many newspaper articles about his work, his genius, his activities, his life actually, what it meant. Something he would never have experienced, that kind of validation of his life if people would have thought he would be still alive. So we don't have to wait. We actually must not wait for somebody to fake their own death or for somebody to actually pass away. before we give this validation. We can and should and may give this validation already beforehand. But it's not only about life and death. There was another person from my home country more than half a century ago, a comedian, Helmut Qualtinger. He thought the public doesn't pay too much attention to his activities. And he faked a poet from far away, an Inuit poet, he said, and he made press releases about the poet coming to the country. And actually stepping out of the train that time, there was not a poet from far away coming to the country, it was himself. And he tried to emphasize how important it would be to remain in connection, to exchange, to validate each other, and again, to provide each other space for reflection, for vibration in response to another vibration. What's the opposite of this kind of resonance? What's the other choice of paying attention adequately, respecting the dignity of the other person? I think the opposite is very harmful. It's very dysfunctional for our human communities. The opposite is ignorance based on arrogance. We must not allow that to happen. We can do it differently. As humans, we can provide each other the before mentioned space. And this is about things between humans. It will not work with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is important. It will even develop. We will train it. We will use it. We will benefit from it. But there is a kind of reflection. There is a kind of emotion we can only provide to one another. Providing this space, providing this safe space for one another. It can work through humans. I mean, already if you say to somebody, say hello to the other person that you might know but you will not see soon, but the other person will visit this other person and this transfers this hello via a human. And already it's part of that providing space. It's part of that providing resonance for reflection and validating the dignity of the other person. One last quote. Martin Schlesko, he's a producer of violins, handcrafted, very valuable violins of our time. And he has stated, the essential things cannot be done by you yourself, but you can receive them and you can make yourself receptive to them. I think there are two important things with regard to our matter today in this quote. The one is, when we provide space for the other, we also open up. We don't know exactly where it will lead to, but it's always worth it. And what it will lead to when it's positive is nothing we can control, like if we would create it ourselves in terms of producing. It's something that will happen. And if we approach it with confidence, then it's something that is really worth trying. And the other thing is, what we are talking about, providing space, is also true the other way around. We are also seeking for space. We are actually also in need of that space for reflection, of that resonance by the others, of that vibration responding to another vibration. And this is my thought, my recommendation, my note to myself even, that no matter whether it's a butterfly, it's an elephant, or anything in between in terms of skin strength, in terms of outreach, it's worth to reach out to the others and to provide space. Thank you again for having me. I look forward to the other speeches.